Hey guys, King of Charmanders here. Okay, so Jellicent is finally in Pokemon Go. We've been waiting for this Water Ghost Majestic King or Queen, because there's actually a male and female version, to come into Pokemon Go. As of right now, you can only get the male version, so if you like the color pink and you want the female version, you won't be able to get till later. Anyways, as you see here, the only way you'll be able to guarantee to encounter Frillish is you have to make rank 20 in Pokemon Go. In other words, if you don't PvP, now's the time to start getting into PvP if you really want Frillish. I don't have a doubt it's going to be released later, but if Frillish is Go Battle League or PvP like exclusive, now's the time to get ready to battling. I have plenty of videos to help you out. Or if you're already battling, just keep on going. You'll eventually make rank 20, because you don't actually get a rating until past. No, you do get a, yeah. Rank 20 is when you get your rating. So as long as you keep playing until you get your rating, you won't drop. So just keep playing, battling, practicing, and you can get your Frillish, and in turn, you can get your Jellicent. Once you get it, you'll have a chance of encountering as a reward for higher tracks. So you're gonna, as long as you keep on battling, you can keep getting Frillish after past rank 20, or after you make rank 20. All right, here's Jellicent's Go Hub analysis. So the reason why I said that before is it says it's not in Go Hub yet. So Go Hub hasn't updated their website to say that Jellicent is actually available in Pokemon Go. And now it is, and you've probably seen it around somewhere, or some content creators using it, because Jellicent is actually really, really powerful for PvP. You saw my pre-analysis, we saw the stats before, because you got to see the data mine, that Frillish is incredibly powerful and incredibly thick. As you see here, it is a very tanky mon. It has very high defense, very high stamina. And because of that, and its typing, it has a very unique move. It has a very good moveset, great bulky stats, and a great dual typing that makes it really good in Go Battle League. It's actually one of the strongest leads in the game. As you see here, thanks to this dual typing, you are weak to Dark, Electric, Ghost, and Grass. So you're weak to 4 typings. However, you resist double what you are weak to. You resist Fighting, which is very prominent in meta. Normal, which is very prominent. Well, not so much, but fighting types. You resist Normal, you resist Bug, Fire, so Alola Marowak, Ice, other Powder Snow users with Weather Ball, Ice Beams, etc. Poison, Steel, and even other waters. That's what makes Jellicent really, really good. Has such a great coverage across the entire meta. As you see its weaknesses, it's weak to Dark, Electric, Ghost, and Grass. Those are relevant typings as well. However, with all the extra typings plus its bulk, it still can take a few moves, unless it's like a wall charge from various Pokemon that it's weak to, and it can still do a lot of damage. Because of its moveset, as you see here, Jellicent's moveset, Jellicent has a very, very versatile and powerful moveset. It has Bubble or Hex, both generate great amounts of energy. Shadow Ball for a nuke move, which is also has same type attack bonus since it's a ghost type attack. You have Bubble Beam and Ice Beam. So you have a debuff move, 2 great charge fast moves, a debuff move, a potential move for coverage if you don't like Bubble Beam for some reason. You should use Bubble Beam though, because Bubble Beam does get stabbed and you can chip away your opponent. And Shadow Ball for a nuke move. This makes Jellicent incredibly dangerous for Go Battle League. And in Great League, and even in Ultra League, this thing can be really, really good. Because of its coverages, etc., you can actually get a good Jellicent for Ultra League. So for Great and Ultra League, Jellicent is looking to make an impact in Pokemon Go. Remember, the only way you can get it is if you reach rank 20 in Go Battle League. You'll get your Frillish, and then after that, as you rise up for rewards, or as you get your rewards, you can get more Frillish. But as of right now, you can only get it in Go Battle League rewards, nowhere else. Alright, here are the Ppoke.com rankings. As you see, Jellicent overall is at number 22. It says Bubble Beam, and Shadow Ball, but you can also run Hex if you want to, too. Depends on what you feel like. Anyways, as you see here, Jellicent is incredibly powerful. It's a very powerful in the lead, and even as a closer. Not so much as a switch, because even though is pretty tanky. It just doesn't do a lot of damage, so Jellicent is still very vulnerable. Things like, as you see here, Altaria, Obstagoon, Dark types, basically everything you're weak to, and it's even susceptible to Charmers. So because Shadow Ball is your only nuke move, if you have something that really resists you pretty hard, Wigglytuff can still wiggle you down, even though you shoot it down with Bubble Beams. So just keep that in mind. Jellicent is still very, very susceptible to its weaknesses, which is Electric, Grass, Dark, and I forgot the last one. Electric, Grass, Dark. There's one more. I totally forgot. Anyways, that's the typings. Just be careful. Anything you're weak to, you generally want to avoid. But as you see here, Dark very heavily. The Dark and Normal resist Ghost types. So that's why you lose pretty hard against Dark and some Normal types. In the lead, Jellicent is actually the number 4 pick in the lead. As you see, Jellicent is literally the only water ghost here the only ghost type you see up here, besides Medicham, Swampert, Shadow, Scrafty, and of course Jellicent. It's incredibly powerful. You beat Azu, so Jellicent can beat Azu. Can also beat Stunfisk, Marowak, Skarmory, Bastiodon. It's a great core breaker. Because a lot of all of those mons are very popular picks, and Jellicent actually takes down all of them, which is really good. Of course, it has some key meta losses, but at the same time, you just take out such a great amount in the meta. Obviously, if you lose the lead, you could just switch out and then you pivot out. But yeah, Jellicent is overall, despite all these weaknesses that are pretty popular, it's still the number 4 lead in the game, which rightfully so. In a closer, Jellicent, other than the lead, Jellicent in a closer is pretty dang good too. You're actually able to take out Altaria in the closer because you're able to Shadow Ball it to death. And because of your bulky stats, you can take it down. So there's still ways out of the meta, depending on which shield scenarios you're in. And as a switch to number 84, I wouldn't only switch Jellicent into a positive matchup. I wouldn't switch it into a negative matchup because it can get walled pretty hard by its weaknesses. As you see here, 600 and 700 and 800, these are really strong ratings. So be really careful about getting knocked into a negative matchup. A plus is it beats Bastiodon, so yeah. Alright, here's the pppoke.com matrix, my favorite part of it. Again, if you would like to donate to pppoke.com, please consider doing so. As you see, I have Jellicent with Bubble, Bubble Beam, and Shadow Ball. I also have one with Hex, so Bubble and Hex with Bubble Beam and Shadow Ball. I put Ice Beam here too. I don't recommend it though, because one, you don't get stabbed from Ice Beam, and two, it's a lot more worth to take the less damage you get from Ice Beam and the less energy it costs, and just use it for Bubble Beam. Especially since you get an 100% debuff. And you get stabbed. So it's definitely much more worth to run Bubble Beam. This gives you an example though, so it'll show you just why why Bubble Beam is so much more important than Ice Beam. Yeah, the Great Linga, we have the 2 shield here. I'm going to hit Generate. And as you see here, Hex allows you to beat Abomasnow in the 2s. As you see here, you still have to double bait, which is difficult. However, as long as you're on a Shadow Ball, you should be okay. Bink, bink. You bait. If you see, Shadow Ball actually does half of Abomasnow's damage, so it's in their best interest to actually try and shield you. So all you have to do is just be careful of the energy ball, and then you should be good. But you can, with Hex, you are able to beat Abomasnow in the 2 shield, which is nuts. You're gonna lose against Altaria. Unfortunately, Altaria, even though it doesn't technically wall you, you can only beat it if you have Ice Beam. As you see your Ice Beam, this is one scenario where Ice Beam matters is when it comes to flyers. So with Ice Beam, you're able to take down Altaria. Now the thing is if you look with Ice Beam versus a lot of other variants, there's a lot more red than the rest. As you see, you lose a lot of matchups not having that Hex or not. So it's very dangerous to run Ice Beam, as you see here. Now going down forward, you're able to beat Oz with all 3 variants in the 2 shield. You also beat Bastiodon, you beat Chestnut, you beat Clefable, you beat Deoxys defense, you beat Dugong, you beat Diggersby if you have Bubble. You lose against Diggersby if you have Hex. I wouldn't say it's not too important because Diggersby isn't that popular because not a lot of people have a level 50 Diggersby. However, the Hex variant is also worth running because even though you lose against Diggersby, you win against Drifloon and you win against Ferrothorn. Yep, that's right. So Ferrothorn is technically one of your weaknesses because it's a grass type, but because you have Hex, you can take out Ferrothorn. With Hex, you take out Frostless. You also take out Galvantula. So another thing that you're weak to, you can take out with Hex, which is nuts. Now, unfortunately, because you are weak to Ghost types, Haunter can Shadow Claw pressure you down. But so, this is a really close matchup, though. As you see here, If Haunter has to... Haunter straight Shadow Punches you, but it's a super close matchup. He's left with 4 HP. So you could take it to the zeros, have him left with 4 HP and energy dry, and just come in and take it out. So if you don't want... If you're fine with losing Switch and using that one move to get energy, then you can do that, and you can be pretty safe. That's one play you can do. Other than that, generally you'll lose against Haunter. You beat Hypno with both variations, you'll beat Jellicent in the mirror. Okay, so here's the thing. You'll beat Jellicent if you have Hex. If you don't have Hex, it's going to be a little difficult depending on who wins it's going to be who wins CMP. With Hex or Bubble, you're able to take out Lapras. This is bait dependent though. If Lapras doesn't like fall for your Bubble Beam bait, you need to land 2 Shadow Balls. So as you see here, it's almost better to have, as you see, like, yes, the bubbles, but you kind of have to, if you can't just go straight Bubble Beam. Or straight Shadow Ball, unfortunately. Straight Shadow Ball, well, actually you can, never mind. You're thinking if to actually just go straight Shadow Ball. I would hit Shadow Ball and then do it. Okay, so I lied. So Jellicent is so thick, it can actually take out, oh, that's right, because you technically wall Lapras, because you resist Ice Shard, you resist Surf, and you resist Skull Bash. So that's why you have such a strong match against Lapras, which is just nuts. Jellicent can take out Shadow Champ. It's always a plus. Now you're going to lose hard against Dark types and some Grass types like Mandibuzz and Meganium no matter what moveset you have. You beat Mantine, you beat Marowak, you beat Medicham. So you beat Medicham, you beat Marowak because of your Ghost Hex, etc. Well, you could use Bubble Beam if you want to. You'll beat Melmetal. With the Hex variation, you could beat Mew. Now, if you have the Hex one, this is a good point to note because even if you don't have Hex, you'll lose against Obstagoon. You'll like barely lose, but yeah. But with Hex, you could beat Alolan Raichu, you'll beat Registeel. You actually wall Registeel. Well, not really wall, because Lock-On still does like 1 damage, but you resist Flash Cannon and Focus Blast. You're able to beat Skarmory. You'll lose against the regular Stunfisk, but you beat G Stunfisk with the Hex version. So with Hex, you can beat G-Fisk in the 2s. You beat Swampert, you beat Toxicroak. You lose against Tropius, Umbreon. You're going to lose against Grass types. What you're weak to, Grass types, especially Tropius. Tropius gives you a huge problem. Even if you have Ice Beam, it's very hard to come back from. And you can beat the Air Slash version with Jellicent. However, you have to bait the shields. It takes 2 Shadow Balls to take it out. So you have to be able to bait 2 shields. And then do 2 Shadow Balls. This is a very rough matchup. Yes, you can beat Tropius in the 2s, but it's very, very rough. Also, the kind of bad thing is that, yes, like, as you see here, Charmers, except for Clefable, some Charmers, like Wigglytuff, because it does resist you because of the normal typing, and Shadow Victory Bell will run you down. So if you see Shadow Victory Bell, just switch out immediately. Don't even try to fight it. But you beat Vigoroth and Witchcatch. Other than that, it's a very powerful lead. The Jellicent is such a great league. It has great positive matchups, and you can use 2 movesets. I would prefer Hex over Bubble, but it's up to you. But as you see, Jellicent rightfully deserves that number 4 spot and the lead at Peak Poke Dog. Alright, we did the 2 shield. Now here's the 1 shield. As you see in the 1 shield, things get a little bit weird, but then, okay. So in the 1 shield, you lose the Abomasnow matchup. You're still going to lose against Altaria. The good thing is you still beat Azu and Bastiodon. If you have Ice Beam, you can beat Altaria. So it's just really up to you. However, Hex gives you some options. As you see with Hex, you can take out Cresselia. You lose the Diggersby matchup because you have you lose the Diggersby matchup because you have Hex, but you pick up Drifblim. So basically, the same matchups you beat are basically the same as the 2 shield. Doesn't really change much at all, as you see here. So it's basically most of everything is the same. You're gonna lose against Meganium. You're gonna lose. The one thing is you're gonna lose to Mew just because of Wild Charge. Wild Charge will yeet you. You could just double up on Wild Charge. It's gonna hurt really bad, and because those Shadow Claws will chunk you because you are a Ghost type. Now, the only difference is in the 2 shield, some differences are you're going to lose against Alolan Raichu, so you start losing some matchups. You're losing against Alolan Raichu, and also you're going to lose against Stunfisk. Well, this is regular Stunfisk. This isn't G-Fisk, so I wouldn't worry too much about this. But as you see, you're still going to lose against Tropius, Umbreon, and there's still a lot of things so there's still, yeah. It's just what it is. You can beat Vigoroth if you have Bubble. You'll lose with Hex just because Vigoroth does resist your Hex damage. And you're still going to lose against Shadow Victory Bell, Wigglytuff, and Zweilous. This makes it, like, kind of dangerous because, like, Shadow Victory Bell and Wigglytuff. That's basically it for Jellicent. If you see it, you run. But generally, it's the same as a 2 shield. What you beat a 2 shield, you lose in the 1s. A few matchups do flip, though. Alright, we did the 1 shield. Now we do the 0s. The closers were Jellicent's second best position. As you see in the closer, you'll beat Altaria regardless, because I think you could just Shadow Ball it to death, as you see here. We run the sim, you pretty much Shadow Ball Cresselia to death. You're thick enough to take all of this Dragon Breath damage. It's ridiculous. And now that Sky Attack is debuffed, you can still live with a not a decent amount, but you'll live with some HP. You can take out Azu. Now, here's the difficult one. If you don't Bubble, you can't take out Bastion on the closer, unfortunately. Bastion can beat you in the closer, just because Bastion's it's just damage output. So even if you do debuff it, as you see here, the Bubble damage will add up. And it lives with, like, 19 HP. So it's a pretty close matchup. If you have chip damage on Bastion, you can still flip this one, though. So as long as you have chip damage, you can still run Hex. Basically, as you see here, you beat Deoxys defense, you beat Dugong. You lose against Diggersby if you don't have Bubble. Now, the 0s is where you'll start losing against your weaknesses, like Alvantula, Ferrothorn, and Drifblim. You'll start losing those matchups because you don't have shields. They'll be able to just chip away. The Shadow Balls, Blind Whips, and Volt Switch are... Discharges are going to hurt a lot. You still beat Hypno, you still beat Lapras, you still beat Shadow Champ, you beat Mantine, Marowak, Medicham. So you beat basically the same amounts, and you'll still lose against Mandibuzz, Meganium. The Meganium, Raichu, Shiftry, Stunfisk, and Tropius, and Umbreon, Venusaur. Of course, you're still going to lose against Stunfisk, Venusaur, and Umbreon. So it's still really powerful. I guess the big issue about this is that you really have to avoid some things because some Pokemon like Venusaur have a really strong rating against Jellicent. So just be really careful. Now, if you have Shield, that's great because with Shield advantage, as you see here, Jellicent goes to town. You still, strangely enough, like in the 1 to 0s, as you see here, you do pick up a lot of matchups. However, the Hex variation still losing against against Jellicent. You'll beat the Mirror if you have Hex. You won't win with Bubble Beam, as you see it's a simultaneous knockdown in the 1 to 0s. It just depends which moveset you're carrying and what IVs you have, because winning CMP matters. With Ice Beam, with the 1 to 0s, you can beat Mandibuzz just because you have Ice Beam. If you don't have Ice Beam, unfortunately, you do lose. And as you see, in the 1 to 0s is where Ice Beam actually gets some play, because as you see here, the 1 to 0s, Ice Beam Jellicent actually covers and beats a lot of meta. You even beat Shiftry. And you beat Venusaur. You can still beat Venusaur with Shadow Ball or the Shadow Ball Hex variation, but as you see here, Ice Beam covers a lot of things in the 1 to 0s. So Ice Beam, if you're looking for some different coverage, Ice Beam can be what you're looking for. Because as you see here, it's the Obstagoon matchup. You just Ice Beam down. Ice Beam, block, Ice Beam, and that's GG's. In the 2 to 0s, Jellicent's pretty powerful, but you're still going to lose against some things. Like dark types, so you beat a majority. You pretty much beat almost everything except dark types like Mandibuzz, Munchlax, Shiftry, Tropius, Umbreon, some grass types like Tropius, and Wigglytuff will still beat you regardless. So Wigglytuff is a destroyer. Wigglytuff just ends your life. As you see here, you don't in no shield scenario do you beat Wigglytuff, sadly. So just be very careful. You do beat Zweilous though, but it takes a 2 to 0s for it to happen. Now, a regular shield advantage, as you see here, the regular shield advantage is basically like pretty much I would say it's like the 1 to 0s. Basically almost identical, just a few matchups flip. Or what you usually beat will be, like you'll lose against the Diggersby just because you have Hex. Mandibuzz, of course, Meganium, Munchlax. Very similar, I would say, to the 1 to 0 scenario, or the 1 to 0 scenario. Very similar to the 1 to 0. But as you see, Shield Advantage still very, very strong. Just be mindful because you're still going to get destroyed by a lot of things like Tropius and Shadow Victory Bell. So even though Jellicent is really powerful in the lead, you have to really know what like shield scenarios you have, because if it doesn't have shields, or if it doesn't have shield or shield advantage, depending on what moveset you're carrying, might actually win the match for you. Alright, so Jellicent, 9 out of 10 for sure. Like, it literally, like, not only, it's so good. It has great stats, great moves, and a great supporting typing. In other words, you get a positive matchup, you could probably Jellicent sweep a lot of Pokemon, which is really nuts. It's so strong against really popular meta that if you have one of these, you're going to do a lot of damage. The only thing that keeps it from getting a 9 out of 10 is that it's very susceptible to getting Charm down or Razor Leaf down, unfortunately. You could take out Bastiodon, you take out Bastiodon, which is a good part. However, the fact is you are really weak to grass types. You're really weak to grass types unless you carry Ice Beam, and Ice Beam isn't generally what you want to carry because you only take out things like, in the 2-shield, you take out the 2-shield effectiveness out of Jellicent once you give it Ice Beam. And it doesn't have Bubble Beam or Shadow Ball. That's why this moveset's so viable. You can even use Hex. As you see with Hex, you cover a lot of ground and it flips a lot of matchups. Same thing with Bubble Beam. You got flexibility, you got coverage. So if you have, for example, if you have coverage against all the other matchups already with and you could have Jellicent as like a third Mon, or like if you use it in the lead, just have 2 coverages with it, and it's a beast. As you see here, it's extremely powerful. 76 to 78%. If you have Bubble, you have to 78%. That's huge. That's a lot of matchups. Just pretty nuts. Having the ability to debuff, quick energy generation, bulk, I have to give Jellicent a high rating. As long as you keep it away from its negative matchups, which are like 4 types, it's still very powerful against common. Definitely worth running in the lead, and rightfully so. This thing literally went from being a Go Battling reward to the number 4 lead in the game, and overall still being able to destroy a lot of the top meta because of its versatility and its moveset. So I have to give it a 9 out of 10. But like I said, the only difficult thing is it does have some really hard weaknesses, like against Shadow, Victory Bell, and Wigglytuff, like I mentioned. And the second one is it's hard to get right now. I can foresee a future event where Frillish will be plenty, but not of right now. So if you're trying to get one, you're going to have to wait. Unless you really want to go to rank 20, spend a bunch of rare candy, and then power one up. Because that's the only way you're going to get one as of right now. If you guys like this video, please like and subscribe. I'll be doing more coverage on the newer updates from mid-season 6. Good luck on your Go Battle League sets, and I'll see you on the next video.